Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're watching Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
On today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Week 4 preview. Now we're going to jump right into the games, but before we get to those, we have a quick update on our head-to-head pick'em. So last week we went straight up even. Callan hit both his lock and upset, and I only hit my lock, but I just barely did better in the couple of differences we had in the regular pick'ems. So we both ended with 11, giving me a score of 29 and Callan a score of 23. So you're still sitting at that 6-point deficit.
Yeah, I thought I would make up some ground with that upset pick, but luckily I was able to hit it.
You can see those small deficits like that get wiped away real quick though, so I am by no means happy with my position. I gotta keep going. But now we will jump into our predictions for NFL Week 4, starting with the Thursday night football game of the Miami Dolphins heading to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. And Cal and I disagree to start it off here, with me taking the Bengals and Callan taking the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think still fins up for the Dolphins. I think they're on a roll right now. The Bengals are still trying to get it figured out in that Super Bowl hangover. But as far as the Dolphins go, they were able to beat the Bills on a really tough game. And I think they ride that momentum right through Cincinnati.
Yep. They're going to get there and they're going to ask Tua what number he's wearing, and he's going to say 11 because he sees the double ones with that concussion he has, Or back injury, back injury. Not a concussion, a back injury.
Vertebrae.
But no, I think this is a really good opportunity for the Bengals to right the ship against a very good team. I have to admit it at this point. I've been very anti-Tua and anti-Dolphins so far, but they've impressed me, especially with that win last week against the Bills, who are, in my opinion, the best team in the NFL. So if the Bengals want to get over that Super Bowl hangover and really show themselves as a true contender continuing on in the AFC, this is their chance, and it's going to be at home. So let's see if they can pick it up.
This is the type of game that the Bengals will win, more than likely. I mean, even though I picked the Dolphins, but just
on paper, the Dolphins should win.
Right, on paper, but the way the NFL parity has gone this season, this is the type of game that the Bengals have a very good chance of winning.
Yeah, burn the papers because they don't matter this year. Next up, we have the Vikings heading to London. I was about to say heading to New Orleans, but they are not. The London game. The Vikings and the Saints will go head-to-head in London. And Cal and I are split on this one yet again, with me taking the Vikings and Cal taking the Saints as his upset.
Yeah, the Saints, I think, are the upset here after a bad loss to Carolina. The Saints and Vikings have a long history, and the Vikings have usually had the Saints number. But I think in London it switches around, and the Saints get the upset over Minnesota.
In the postseason, we have the Saints number. In the regular season, we get dogged by the Saints, including last year on Halloween when Alvin Kamara had, 5 or 6 rushing touchdowns in one game?
Right.
I think it was 5.
I think it was 5.
So I am nervous about this game, to say the least. But we look shaky against the Lions, but we're still able to come out with a win. The Saints also looked extremely shaky and weren't able to come out with a win. So really sweating about this one, but I think we will be able to pick up a win against Jameis and the Saints.
And don't forget, this game is at 8:30 in the morning, USA time.
I actually really like that. I'm a morning person, so the fact I get to not have to wait all the way till noon to watch some football is exciting. Next up, we have the Washington Commanders heading to Dallas to take on Cooper Rush and the Cowboys, and yet again a split, with me taking the Commanders and Callan taking the Cowboys. Now, I have the Commanders in this one just because I can't imagine it keeps going with Cooper Rush. Like Callan mentioned last episode, he's one of only 2 quarterbacks ever to win his first 3 regular season starts. And I just can't imagine it keeps going. The Commanders got absolutely destroyed last week against the Eagles. So this is their perfect opportunity to go against another divisional opponent and really prove themselves as a contender in that NFC East. I don't know if they actually are, but this is their chance to prove themselves as one. They have a pretty good depth chart on paper. You got stars like Terry McLaurin, and what it's really just going to come down to is whether Carson Wentz can pick it up or not. Because they have a bend-don't-break defense that, I shouldn't say this now considering how many points they allowed last week, but they usually don't allow a ton of points. So let's see if they can stop the quarterback in only his 4th start ever.
And one good thing for the Commanders is this week they get Chase Young back, who has been out due to injury. But I still think that the Cowboys and Cooper Rush go to 4-0. I think that Carson Wentz is just too much of a wild card. He's too eccentric, too enigmatic. I mean, he looked really bad against the Eagles. He got sacked 9 times. I think that's going to get in his head, and I think he's only going to start to play worse from here on out.
Liability is the word you were looking for to describe Carson Wentz. And it's kind of on his own line that he got sacked 9 times, but nevertheless, he is questionable. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are on a hot streak, heading to Philadelphia to face the equally hot Philadelphia Eagles, and another split with Callan taking the Eagles in this one, while I have the Jaguars as my upset. Now, it's weird to say that a 2-1, probably should be 3-0 team is an upset, but the Jags, no one really thought they were going to be in the position they're in, and as, might I say, dominant as they have been in these first 3 weeks. Even in that loss, they looked pretty damn good. The Commanders just kind of got lucky and got the best of them. So, are the Jags a good team? Are they playoff contenders? You can't say that quite yet with us only being a quarter of the way into the season, but it's been a hell of a start for them. And I think that just got that one of those feelings that they might continue that against a pretty good Eagles team.
It is a good Eagles team. It'll be quite a good matchup, I feel like, and it'll be a good test to see if the Jags are for real or if these first few weeks are just a fluke. But I think the Eagles are just too good. They got too much firepower. Jalen Hurts is just on a tremendous run. He's just a remarkable player, and he's able to score on the ground or in the air. They got hella good receiving options and a backfield by committee, and they're a run-heavy team, and yet they've been scoring points through the air. So I think the Eagles are just too much for the Jaguars, and they meet their match.
Yeah, the only thing that makes me nervous about the Eagles is on the top layer, they are a crazy good team, undeniably good team. But a few key injuries happen, they don't have the depth that you would love to see from a true playoff contender. So we'll see if they can stay healthy in the long run. Next up, we're going to talk quickly about the Jets heading to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers, a game in which Callan and I disagree, with me having the Jets and Callan having the Steelers. And the main reason we wanted to talk about this one is because this will be the return of the MILF hunter, Zach Wilson. He is finally done looking for his friends' moms to have sex with, so now he will return to the football field and play his first start of the 2022 NFL season. And what the Jets have been able to do with Joe Flacco at the helm, I can't imagine they can lose against the Steelers, who are also having many problems. I can't imagine they can lose this game with Zach Wilson at starting quarterback now. So that's pretty much my reason for taking the Jets.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how good Zach Wilson really does play. They did do pretty well with Flacco, so it's likely that they are able to carry on some success. But I think that Pittsburgh's almost hitting that kind of panic button, and I think they really need a win here. I think this will be a good team for them to get a win and right the ship.
Fun fact, the Steelers are 0-6 when TJ Watt is injured. They've had 6 games without TJ Watt, and they have lost
and they still
all
got
of them.
one or two more?
Yep, they'll have at least 2 more.
2 more? I think they get 1 win at least without him.
You think?
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Next up, we got another quick one with the Bills heading to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, and Cal and I finally agree this episode. We both have the Bills in this one, and I feel bad because I pretty much say it every time we talk about the Bills, but they're just too good of a roster. The Ravens are really good too, but this is going to be an awesome matchup to watch, especially if you like offense, but yet I still have the Bills.
Yeah, this one's going to be a shootout more than likely, and I think the Bills just have a little bit more firepower than the Ravens. And I think the Bills' defense is a little bit better than the Ravens, and they'll be able to keep Lamar Jackson at bay, especially with his limited receiving options. And as long as they are able to cover Mark Andrews, I think try to make Lamar Jackson beat him on the ground. And even though he is capable of doing that, I think the Bills are ready for it, and I expect them to get a good victory here.
The Bills will continue to have a beat-up secondary. I know Micah Hyde will be out again because he's out for the season, and I believe Jordan Poyer might also be out again, so it'll be a tough task. Next up, we have the Patriots without Mac Jones heading to Green Bay to take on the Packers, and we agree yet again. Cal and I both have the Packers. and I have them as my lock. Now, I would have the Packers winning this game, whether Mac Jones was there or not. Probably wouldn't have them as my lock, but I'd have them winning either way. So now that Mac Jones isn't there, easy lock for me.
The only thing that worries me about this is the Patriots still have Bill Belichick. The mastermind and the genius is still on that sideline. And even without Mac Jones, Brian Hoyer is a perfect backup for them because he fits their system perfectly. I do expect the Packers to win. I couldn't put them as my lock just because bad karma. But Belichick scares me. He still does. He still is the mastermind over there. And I expect Green Bay to have a good game. It's in Green Bay. It's going to be really tough for the Patriots to go in there and beat this Packers team after just beating Brady, which is a little ironic that we face Brady and then Belichick back to back. So we'll see if we can go 2-0 against the Super Bowl, multiple time Super Bowl champions.
That is funny. I didn't notice that. Now, finally finishing up with the 2 primetime games, we got the Sunday night football game of the Kansas City Chiefs heading to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers, and we disagree yet again. I have the Chiefs in this one, and Callan has the Bucs.
Yeah, I think the Buccaneers are a little bit angry after last week's game. I think they knew they missed their opportunity to tie that up, with Brady doing what he does. And I think that this is a game that Brady really bounces back and has a good game. It's in Tampa, which is tough for the Chiefs to go down there and play in. It didn't go well for them in the Super Bowl. That defense is still just as strong, and I think they're going to find a way to stop Mahomes and get a victory in Tampa.
It's funny that you say it like that because I have almost same reasoning, different outcome. I think the Chiefs are going to be very angry after losing a very winnable game to the Colts last week. I think overall they just have a better offense. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are currently extremely beat up, especially on that offensive side. So I think that the Chiefs offense is just going to be a little too much for the Buccaneers defense to handle. And the Chiefs defense rather, shouldn't have a ton of problems handling that Bucs offense after they only put up 12 points last week and still have very similar injuries. They will have Mike Evans back, which of course is a huge upgrade, but a lot of those guys are still injured. So I got the Chiefs just eking one out in this one. And then finally, quick about the Monday night football game with the Los Angeles Rams heading to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. And Cal and I are finishing off agreeing with both of us having the Rams.
Yeah, with the way Jimmy G played in Denver, I just think that really questions if the team really is upgraded after moving on from Trey Lance due to injury, because he played like crap again in that game. And I think if he plays anything like that, it'll be an easy W for the Rams.
Yep. I have a love-hate relationship with Jimmy Garoppolo, as in the fact that I love to hate him so much. It makes me so happy when Jimmy G does bad. I don't know what he did to me, but just something inside of me. It makes me happy to see him fail. So I think that the Rams are going to go in and easily stop Jimmy G, just similar to the way the Broncos defense did, because the Rams have an even better defense than the Broncos, and it's, hyping up for a divisional matchup. So I see that the Rams defense nearly shuts out the 49ers offense. I'd be surprised if they got any more than 1 touchdown, 10 or 13 points, and I think the Rams offense will be able to put up more than that. So, easy equation, I got the Rams winning. Those are our predictions for NFL Week 4. Make sure to put in the comments what you guys think and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. But until next time, don't forget
to eat the W.